pre-Christmas football at Suncorp Stadium, and this is a fixture that always invokes the ghosts of grand finals past. Then it was Ange versus Arnie, now it's Roscoe versus Jacko. Leaders of two clubs who've had bumpy rides at times since those heady days, but Raw do look capable of challenging once again. And the Mariners, of course, are the defending champions. It is a wet old night in the Sunshine State, a 15-minute delay to kick off. But the players are ready to go. These live pictures from our Isuzu Ute tunnel camp. They're going to get pretty wet out there. And they have already met once, of course, this season. Brisbane emerging victorious in Gosford in round 4 by 2-1, despite having Joe Coletti sent off in that match. They suffered a setback against Western United last time out, and they'll be anxious to rebound at Suncorp. As for the Mariners, they lost all 4 of their opening matches this season, but they are unbeaten since, and the goals are starting to flow once again. So 2 attack-minded teams should make for some great entertainment, despite the weather. Let's have a look at the teams. Just the one change for Brisbane. Jez Lofthouse is benched as Carlo Armiento makes his first start of the season on the left wing. Scott Neville still not quite ready to return, so Kai Truing continues to partner Tom Aldred in defence. No Florent Berenguer, Henry Hoare or Anthony Burke-Gilroy either, so Ross Aloisi's resources stretched to the limit. Jonas Markowski does return, however, on the bench for the first time since round 4. Jay O'Shea looking to score for the 3rd consecutive match. He is so important for the Raw, of course, in setting up chances as well. Since making his debut in October 2019, he's created 332 scoring opportunities. That's more than any other player in that time span. Now the Mariners make a couple of changes. Miguel De Pizio and Jing Reek revert to the bench, with Harrison Steele included in midfield for just his 2nd start of the season, and Alu Kuol recalled to lead the attack. Steele's inclusion means Josh Nisbet is officially licensed to play as the number 10, which he's been doing to great effect anyway. Angel Torres is looking to add to his hat-trick, scored against Melbourne City on Sunday. Talking of goals, Marco Tullio has 10 in 15 matches in all competitions for the Mariners this season. Just one of those has come in the A-League. That was against Western United, that beautiful curling strike in the 4-0 home victory. Ross Aloisi has made a positive start to life as a number 1 in Brisbane, leading the Raw to a major final for the first time in 9 years. But he'll have been irritated by that loss to Western last week, especially against a team coached by his brother. Mark Jackson says his squad is starting to adapt to his way of playing, a style developed under the likes of Marcelo Bielsa and Jesse Marsh during his days with Leeds United. And he'll be used to this sort of weather, at least, being from Leeds. Sean Evans, of course, is from Melbourne. It's his first trip to Suncorp in 4 years, and game number 162 overall for the former bricklayer from Victoria. So Alu Kuol, who's got 3 goals in his last 5 appearances, not all as a starter, of course, is back in from the off today, as is Carlo Armiento. He's going to have to deal with that patch of grass that hasn't been relayed on the far side of the pitch, which could be tricky. The pitch is probably going to be heavy and a bit slippy, a bit slidey. Let's see how they deal with it, the 2 sets of players. It's the Mariners in their change strip of the predominantly blue jerseys who get us underway, kicking from right to left on your screen in the first half. The last chance to shop for points before Christmas. Who's the more likely tonight, Daniel McBreen?
Well, it's important for both teams for different reasons, isn't it? As you can see, the heavy water on the pitch over the far side there. Brisbane Roar get the 3 points today. They'll go up to table toppers, equal on points with Wellington Phoenix, who are flying high. Central Coast Mariners just move them into the top 6 and keep them in touch with that top pack. It was a slow start for the Mariners, but they're starting to find their groove. In contrast, Brisbane Roar, they look a different team this year. Very dynamic, very fluent going forward, and full of confidence.
Well, the ball rolls true at least, back to Danny Vukovic. Oh, and then a mistake by Tom Aldred could open the door. Marco Tullio went for goal. Saw Macklin freak off his line, but it's the sort of night when those sort of chances might appear.
Yeah, I think we might see a few mistakes tonight. It's very wet, very slippery. And Marco Tullio does have that in his locker. Just didn't get the right connection. Probably a little bit disappointed in his own goal return in the A-League so far this season. He has had a few opportunities.
He's been unstoppable in the AFC Cup, scoring 8 times. His teammates have done the job for him in the domestic competition. See how the ball just sticks a little bit on that far side. Most of the rest of the pitch has been relayed since the concerts caused a fair bit of damage. This is Joe Coletti. And Tom Aldred, who I read this week is out of contract at season's end and still hasn't agreed a new deal. Says he wants to stay in Brisbane, where he's been for 5 years now.
I find that strange that they haven't tied him down. Quality player. He'd be one of the first ones you'd want on the team sheet.
He is, of course, their captain, so he probably is. Milosnic going to scamper after this one, but was offside anyway. By the look of his face, probably knew it.
He's had a bit of a resurgence this season, hasn't he? Nikola Milosnic out in that wide area, just you can see there, going just a little early. He doesn't really need to with the pace he's got. He can give most players a couple of yards and still get there first.
He's had a good season so far, 3 goals, and you can add 3 assists to that as well. Rather aimless ball forward for Mark Jackson's Mariners. Jack Hingert taking his time with the throw. It's going to be a Brisbane throw off Harrison Stewart. Rain falling steadily and is expected to continue throughout the evening. As long as the lightning stays away, we should be okay to get through to full time. Brisbane making incremental progress down the right-hand side. Coletti. Took a touch off Nisbet, but there's a foul by Quall. It's twice now Jay O'Shea's up to late challenge.
He's got the heavy strapping on the knee, hasn't he? It's the other knee that got collected on that occasion, but I'm not going to say that it's the Mariners have seen that and thought they'll test it out, but yeah, he's still got a bit of a limp on at the moment, hasn't he? Didn't tickle.
Mariners last win at this venue, April 2014 by 2-0. Nick Fitzgerald and Anthony Caceres, the goal scorers on that particular day. Since then, it's been a tale of woe for the Central Coast. At this venue at least, no win in their last 7. Although in fairness, they did win twice at Raw's temporary home in Redcliffe. Fraction high by Caltac, but the Mariners have kept it alive, and Alu Quall, playing off the shoulder of the last defender, has managed to stay on side. Nisbet furthest forward in the box. Cross goes back post towards Angel Torres, and unfortunately for the Colombian, he got the last touch. Goal kick. Coletti with a quick throw. O'Shea. Looking for and finding Nikola Milojusnic. Jacob Farrell, dogged in his determination to make the block, and it's a corner.
Well, I think that could shape up to be a good battle again on that side. Jacob Farrell against Milojusnic. Jackson let it slip last week that Jacob Farrell was on the 50 or 60 man list for the Socceroos. He's had quite the rise over the past 2 seasons.
Carlo Armiento to deliver the corner. He likes to test the goalkeeper. It goes low and flat, and eventually scooped away by Dan Hall. Back in it comes. Roar have still got plenty forward in this attack, and Armiento got the shot in, but I fancy a touch from Tullio took a bit of the sting out of that.
It was a dangerous ball in, wasn't it? It almost found its way on the first occasion through to Tom Wanninger. As it comes to the other side, it's Armiento. Right, Simon. Tullio just did enough to help his keeper out.
One in the air by Zabala. And this is Kai Truin. O'Shea. Again, finding Milojusnic, who moved it on quickly, and he was fouled there, I fancy, by Jacob Farrell. Sean Evans says nothing untoward.
Well, I'm in agreement, so I thought, well, on replay, I think he's got it right, actually. I thought originally it was a foul, but too much in it.
Jack Hingarts, and just dangled out a leg there, and again Brisbane appealing for a whistle that doesn't appear.
Well, again, I'm on their side on that one. I don't see how that's not a foul. And look where the assistant referee is there. He is literally 2 metres away.
Yeah,
that's a clear foul. Yeah.
He's got away with one there. Jacob Farrell. Good win in the air by Alan Quall, ahead of Kai Truin. Brisbane back on the ball, only briefly though. Jack Hingert completely taking his eye off it. Caltac. Dan Hall. A little bit static for the Mariners as the Roar put the high press into operation. They've got out of it by going a bit longer, which, given the conditions, is maybe not a bad idea.
Well, we see Storm Roux stepping forward into a higher position on that right-hand side. Tullio comes inside the Mariners' possession.
Could be an awkward night for goalkeepers as well, Macca. Skiddy balls coming through off the surface.
Yeah, there'd be, I'm sure the talk in the dressing sheds before was about low and hard strikes, skid off the surface, make sure you follow everything in.
Macklin Creek has made more saves this season than any other goalkeeper in the competition. Not too much work to do as yet. There he is, a couple clear of Joe Gauci from Adelaide United, and Alex Paulson, what a season he's having in third. Here's Coletti. One back by Dan Hall for the Mariners. Nisbet. Little nibble by Carlo Armiento there. On the ankle of Storm Roux, I think. No, it's not Storm Roux, is it? It's Harrison Steele.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. To be honest, I thought that was a foul as well. I thought that was a late one. I don't think Harrison Steele's the kind of guy to stay down either. He's robust characters. We have another look here as he plays this ball. You see there, Army Ute comes down on the ankle.
Yep. He's normally a pretty tough character. Steele by name, Steele by nature. Being hassled and harried by Josh Nisbet, the two smallest players on the park. Coletti is the victor on that occasion.
Well, this is something that I would normally ask you or Robbie, Simon, and you'd normally have the answer. Are they two smallest players in the league?
Josh Nisbet, I think, certainly would be. And Joe Coletti, I think, is only 5'4", 5'5". Anyway. Probably a fair shout. Somebody will tell us.
Oh, Robbie Thompson will text me in a minute.
Ruse delivery. Way by Truitt. Sabala shut down on that far side by Quall. Mariners have it back. Harrison Steele. Kaltak. Threaded the needle nicely. Farrell's touch, and Torres for Ballard, who sweeps it wide right for Storm Roux. Building nicely here, the Mariners. Tulio and Kai Truitt, well positioned.
It was nice play from the Mariners, wasn't it? From one side to the other, moving the Brisbane defence. Quall had just checked his run. Didn't get across that front post.
With a little sand wedge looking for Harrison Steele. Didn't quite work out for them. Ballard turning into trouble, but it's good enough to win the ball back immediately. Launched upfield by Vukovic, helped on by Quall.
Josh Nisbet is really relishing that 10 role, isn't he? He's making forward runs at every opportunity.
He's been playing there really for most of the season, but I think tonight is the first time I've seen it officially on the team sheet.
Well, he moved there at half-time last week, didn't he?
Yeah.
Officially. But yeah, he has added that element to his game this season under Mark Jackson, getting forward a little more rather than that quintessential holding six.
Looks good in that role as well.
Yeah, he does.
Here's Jack Hingert. O'Shea. A little bit of room here for Coletti. Worked wide by Miljosnic for Hingert. And Truitt. Everybody back behind the ball for the Mariners. Aldred. Coletti back to Hingert. Looking for Tommy Waddingham, but he was tightly marked by Dan Hall and was coming back from an offside position in any case.
Another test for the young man up front tonight, won't it? Dan Hall and Brian Kaltak, both very big, strong, physical players. He's not too bad at it himself. Waddingham.
Just the one goal so far, which did come in that 2-1 win against the Mariners back in round 4. Excited all of us, didn't he, in that run to the Australia Cup final.
really set it alight, didn't he? It's very young. To be fair to Ross Aloisi, he doesn't really have too many options in that position at the moment. I'm sure he would have liked to ease him into the role a little bit more.
Nisbet just reaching for that one. Ross Aloisi just reminding his players to be aware. Those little angled runs from Nisbet. Zabala. Armiento. Never seemed to be in full control of the ball, really. Maybe a bit tentative in that patch of grass on the far side. Is there a little shove there by Tullio?
Well, I think Armiento had hold of the arm of Tullio. Anyway, he ended up with a nice little slip and slide at the end.
Used to love those as a kid, didn't you?
Bring it on.
It's been a bit cat and mouse so far, Macca. Not too many opportunities, really.
No, well, I was just thinking last week for the Brisbane Roar in particular, it was a very eventful match. The Aloisi Derby. It's been a little less exciting so far at the start of this one.
Touch around the corner by Tullio. Quite have the legs to reach Storm Room. Louis Zabala sliding in. And he's made more tackles in a Raw jersey than Zabala. Here's the cross towards Qualla, near post, which had good quality. And then Josh Nisbet wins an aerial duel. There's one to write home about.
Zabala getting in on the act. Saw Armiento and said, I'll have some of that. Well, Lewis Storm Rue is almost playing like a right winger when the Mariners have possession. Team sheet said that Tullio would play out there, but he's doing his usual and drifting into those pockets in between midfield and centre-backs.
Truin had to deal with that rather errant header from Aldred. Did so to good effect. Was to be no early goal for Brisbane tonight. Scored 4 times in the opening 15 minutes of matches this season. Get one here. Miliusnic got to take the ball with him. He was aware of Hingett's run, just lost control. Another challenge that's borderline from Farrell. Miliusnic and O'Shea. That one's fair enough, though.
I think that was almost a good opportunity. I think it was Jay O'Shea actually who was making the run around the outside. If the ball had been played in front, it would have been a real great opportunity just to fire one across the 6 yard. In these conditions, anything can happen.
Hingett's throw. Kamulka's intention was to turn it into the path of Jay O'Shea. They'll go again, the Raw. Hingett's quite able to keep that one alive. Goal kick Central Coast. Only Matt Mackay has played more times now in a Brisbane Raw jersey than Jack Hingett. Real stalwart of the club. Tullio wanting a push there. Sean Evans not having much tonight so far, is he?
Well, he's letting the game flow, isn't he?
Well, we're all for that.
We are.
Brisbane have attacked predominantly down that right-hand side, where the pitch is in better condition. Maybe that's the reason. Vukovic a fraction high for Roux.
Well, Miller-Jusnic has been in great form this season. Jack Hingett hasn't been shy in getting forward either. Trend has continued a little bit in this opening 20 minutes.
The Raw yet to be rewarded. They have scored the first goal on 7 occasions so far out of 8 games this season. However, they have lost a couple of those, so it's no guarantee of 3 points. Zabala's throw. Swept upfield towards Qual. Seen out by Roux. Another throw for Brisbane. Coletti. Square by Aldred for Truin. And Miller-Jusnic. Walker trying to shield the ball. Seen out by Kaltak for another throw. Static for Brisbane from the throw. Now they try and give him an option. Well read by Ballard. Another throw for Brisbane. Kaltak to thump it upfield. Brought down by Aldred. Truin. Miller-Jusnic offside again. All just a bit laboured.
It is, and you can hear both benches screaming out instructions. And quicker is one that I can hear quite regularly. Just strays again, but there's a little delay in the pass, wasn't it? I think if he gives it first time, it would have been fine.
Miller-Jusnic turned into trouble in the shape of Josh Nisbet. Steele came a bit quick at Max Ballard, but he's desperately trying to retain possession. He's done so really well. Clipped out wide right by Tullio for Roux. Zabala in the way. Kaltak. Straight at Hingett. That's clever from Jack Hingett. Ran across the line of Angel Torres. He's always going to draw contact.
Yep, that's plenty of years of experience in the A-League. The other has to let you go or foul you.
Incidentally, Carlo Armiento picked up a yellow card in the 11th minute for that challenge on Harrison Steele that saw the Mariners midfielder need some attention. So the Raw winger going to have to watch his step.
Well, it is at the time we thought it was a very late, dangerous one. We thought he got away with it.
Hingett. Miller-Jusnic. Space here for Jay O'Shea. Coletti first to the loose ball. Zabala works it wide and continues his run. Armiento for Coletti. Brisbane probing. Buildup. Mariners making sure they stay tight on their men. And they've won the ball back fairly. Torres. Can't get around Hingant though. And nor can Jay O'Shea when it comes to Josh Nisbet. It's a real arm wrestle. Almost literally in places. That's a handy ball by Storm Roux. And Macklin Freak is beaten, and Marco Tullio steers the ball into an empty net for just his second A-League goal of the season, his 11th in all competitions. A very cool, calm and composed finish, but it was Storm Roux's ball that did all the damage, and Brisbane caught cold.
Well, we saw a ball earlier. Marco Tullio made the run and got through. This time on the Harvey Norman replay, you can see he timed it to perfection. Macklin Freak comes. He's too quick, Tullio, and then he just had to compose himself on the tight angle and make sure he tucked it away into the empty net. It's a beautifully weighted ball from Storm Roux. Perfectly timed run as he came inside there. Zabala and Aldred both passing him on to the other. And he makes them pay for a little bit of indecision at the back. And you said it was an arm wrestle, Simon. Well, it's gone towards the favour of the Central Coast Mariners and Marco Tullio's second goal of the season.
And it was a quality finish. Gets the thumbs up from his coach. So that's 11 goals in 16 in all competitions, just 2 in the A-League. He remains a huge contributor to the Mariners' revival, and they lead. What can Brisbane do about it? They've got a corner as they seek a quick response.
Chances have really been at a premium. It's just the first shot on target from the Mariners. We've only seen one from Raw as well.
Sometimes a bit vulnerable though when you've just scored a goal. Here's Armiento in the delivery. Punched away by Vukovic. Coletti encouraged to shoot. Tries to tee up a teammate instead. And the Mariners will look to break. Farrell having to reach to try and protect him. He couldn't do so. O'Shea. It's all a bit congested in that central area. No way past Farrell for Miliusnic. Kaltak to thump it upfield. Here's an interesting stat, Macca. The last time the Mariners lost a game after scoring first was 14 months ago. They took the lead against Perth Glory in Gosford and lost 2-1. Hingant's cross straight at the goalkeeper. They've drawn a few of those,
well,
of course.
Yeah, but it's not a bad statistic, is it? If you're on the Mariners' side of the fence.
Here's Tullio. In line perhaps for a second. Trying to tee up a teammate, and the shape of Alu Qual tidied up in the end by Kai Truitt. Popping a bit of heat on this wet night. It's Marco Tullio from the den.
He made some friends with his celebration, didn't he?
Worked wide by Zavala. Armiento. Oh, he and Zavala completely on the wrong wavelength. And Ballard to carry it forward. Looks around to see what support he's got. Storm Roux has bombed on. We'll get to it. Still there for Storm Roux. And here's Angel Torres. It seemed to take place in slow motion. It's still not 100% clear for Brisbane. Just seemed a little slow to react, the Raw.
Yeah. I think as Jay O'Shea found himself at left back defending, he was putting his arms up to say, well, there's anyone coming to help me?
It's going to get a huge cheer from the dead. Marco Tullio has not endeared himself to them. And he can just answer the question of who are you with, well,
the goal
look
scorer.
at the score sheet.
Yeah, exactly right. Just a little celebration in front of the den with their fingers in the ears, and all of a sudden, he's made some enemies.
Well, it is pantomime season, so he's the pantomime villain. Waddingham beaten in the air by Dan Hall. It's a real up and under, and a difficult one for Aldred as he fouled by Alan Quall. There's no whistle. And the Mariners will get themselves a corner, and Brisbane are asking questions of Sean Evans.
Well, we said it earlier, he's let a lot go. And Tom Aldred's saying what I think a lot of us thought.
Yeah, it's a little nudge there.
I don't think that's shoulder to shoulder. It's a shove in the back, really. Well, he's not happy, is he?
Not going to do the translation.
He's not a guy I'd like to get into an argument with.
I'll be even more angry if the Mariners score off this corner, which Angel Torres is about to deliver. And there's a clutch of players at the back post, including Kaltak, goes towards the near, and hooked away by Joe Coletti. Ballard. Torres still in position on that right-hand side. And looking to hit the byline, and he's got there as well. Up in the air it goes off Aldridge. Or Tullio. Trick didn't quite come off. And Brisbane will get a throw. He's never scared to try something different, is he, Marco Tullio?
No, he's definitely not. I think he likes it more when he's got the crowd against him.
Here's Alu Quall. Mariners threatening again. Brisbane just look as though they're wading through quicksand at the moment.
Well, you said it, Simon. It looked a little bit like slow motion before. They just can't seem to really get that ball up the other end.
It's not the new dynamic roar that we've become accustomed to seeing so far this season. Not yet, anyway. O'Shea rides that challenge. And then dallied too long. Tullio stealing the ball on the blind side. Farrell back for Kaltak. Vukovic is going to have to be quick. It's not only that, but he's very calm as well. Torres. Farrell. Tullio. Farrell in position for the return. It's double team there by Miliusnic and Hingert. Gomulka. Mariners have been very diligent defensively.
Well, they have. We saw a misunderstanding on the other side with Sabala and Armiento, and on that occasion there, it looked like the ball carrier was just waiting for Miliusnic to make that run in behind, which never came, which really got him stuck. Gave the advantage to the defenders.
Aloisi rather animated on the sidelines, maybe asking for a little more energy from his team, a little more speed. Not always easy to execute, of course, when the pitch is so heavy. Mariners seem okay at the moment. Here's Nisbet and Tullio looking to slip it through. I did wonder whether Marco Tullio would have a crack there, and maybe he should have done.
Yeah, I think it was set up for him. Take the touch, use the runner as a decoy, and you know how much quality he has around that area. It was always going to be a difficult pass straight through in behind there.
Storm Root, who's just signed a new extended contract this week. A couple more years added to his current deal. Where does that leave the Brazilian Michael Docker?
Well, exactly, yeah. Well, we've seen the Mariners last season. They didn't muck around in the January transfer window. The players left. But in saying that, you do want 2 players for every position, and it's great to have the competition, people fighting for places. Drives each other to be better. Beneficial for the team overall.
Ingers. O'Shea. Shifted on quickly and intelligently by Coletti. Zavala out for Armiento. That's a dangerous cross. That's what they need to do with Carlo Armiento, get him into those sorts of positions. And Tommy Waddingham needs that sort of service.
Well, there was a number of orange shirts in the box. You see here, Armiento, he doesn't even look, he knows taking a touch and I'm getting in the box. You can see Taras Gomulka getting forward as well. I'll get that out. It's well defended, Ryan Kaltak.
That's what he's been brought into the starting lineup to try and provide tonight, Carlo Armiento. And it's forced this corner off Kaltak, which Jay O'Shea will deliver. Aldred looking to make his move around the back post. Headed firmly away by Kaltak's good header. It's exactly what you want your central defenders to do. Now, this is going to be a foul this time, and there's 1 or 2 ironic cheers because the home fans feel as though Sean Evans has let the Mariners get away with 1 or 2.
I think he's let quite a few get away with it. That is a dangerous lunge there. If he gets any more of Joe Coletti's foot, you see he does catch him. If there's any more contact there, that could have been a real dangerous one. He wasn't in control at all.
You have to watch those challenges. They've had 2 straight red cards so far this season, the Mariners. They do have the goal advantage. Jay O'Shea to deliver the set piece for Brisbane. All to no avail.
Well, that's very much unlike him, isn't it? He puts it on a dime. As you said, created more chances than any other player since he's come to the league, but one just sailed over harmlessly away.
Jani Vukovic's goal remains intact, and he's on course for what would be a 92nd clean sheet in the competition. He took the record after the 4-0 home win against Western United. It's also, as far as I'm aware, the last remaining NSL player still involved in active competition in the A-League. Played a few games, of course, for Parramatta Power in the old competition. Likes of Alex Wilkinson and Liam Reddy retiring at the back end of last season. Years since the old competition closed its doors. I suppose it's probably going to get to that point.
It's got to get there eventually, doesn't it? There was a while there I thought Liam Reddy was just going to keep on going.
Tullio. Oh, it's beautiful from the Brazilian. Playing themselves out of trouble superbly. Farrell. Torres. Ingots. He's just reaching out to try and keep him within range, but he slips the ball through Angel Torres. Farrell's cross. And away by Aldred. A really important intervention that for Brisbane.
Well, we saw a really brilliant team goal from Wellington Phoenix last week, didn't we? If that ended up in the net, we would have been showing highlights for that one for this week. Started with the beautiful play from Marco Tulli up the other end.
Well, maybe half-time can't come quickly enough for Ross Aloisi. Mariners pretty comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a pretty flat performance from Brisbane at home.
Ballard, Tullio. And then it comes for Storm Roux, who has a lash at it. Miljusnic to get it out of harm's way and try and tee up Armiento, but headed off at the pass by Dan Hall. He's really re-established himself as Brian Kaltak's partner over the last 5 or 6 games.
He had to bide his time, didn't he? But he's really taken that opportunity.
Nathan Paul started the season alongside the Vanuatu international. It's very much Dan Hall's position to lose at the moment. Junior football, of course, up in Queensland as well. Dan Hall came through the Queensland Lions and so played for Brisbane City, Western Pride, before heading south. Here's Gamulka, chance brewing perhaps. O'Shea, Carlo Armiento, and Vukovic makes the block down low. Brisbane's best chance.
Vukovic did well, didn't he?
Armiento to clip the ball in this time. It's too high for Farrell. Miljusnic. Corner ball.
Don't mind that for Miljusnic. Just lace it across the goal in these conditions, but you say this was their best opportunity. As the ball comes across, Jay O'Shea just kept the ball alive and kept moving it along. You see there, Danny Vukovic stands up strong.
Into the last 90 seconds of the regulation first 45. Brisbane started to apply some pressure. O'Shea's corner, Aldred at the back post. And headed wide by Miljusnic.
Well, it's a good header. Tom Aldred back into the danger area at the back post. So he gets up strong, just looks to head it back across in that 6-yard area. Miljusnic just couldn't quite get over the top of it under heavy pressure.
Torres, ball just drifted out over the sideline. Ingot in a hurry to take the throw. Nisbet wins it in the air again. This time ahead of Coletti though, in fairness. Now a chance for the Roar to drive forward. Zabala leading the charge. And Armiento puts it on the roof of the goal. Not his intention, I would wager.
I think it took a little bobble just as he went to strike it. If you have a look, you see there, just a little bounce just before. He was looking to just whip it across that 6-yard area, just inside the 6-yard box.
Into the 1 additional minute at the end of the first 45. Expect Macca a few harsh words perhaps in the dressing room at half-time for Brisbane, although they've been better the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just think Ross Aloisi will probably ask for a little bit more urgency. Look across the board on the stats, it really paints a pretty even picture, but they just haven't seemed to really threaten the Mariners at all in the areas that it matters.
Maybe there's still time for one last opportunity. Armiento's cross. It's cleared everybody. Torres will attempt to see it out for a throw. In the end, he gets a goal kick. There's a little conversation with Jack Hingert as well. Hingert's not particularly interested in getting involved in. And that is half-time at Suncorp. And it is the Mariners fans who are singing in the rain. At the break, Marco Tullio with his second goal of the A-League campaign. Very tidy finish it was as well after Storm Roo's beautiful assist. And those wearing yellow and navy are the happier of those inside this rather damp Suncorp Stadium. Brisbane have huffed and puffed, but not really created too much. Maybe there's more to come from them in the second half. At the interval though at Suncorp, it is Brisbane Roar 0, Central Coast Mariners 1. We're off to a quick break. On the other side of it, we'll have the half-time show. Don't go away. Wenzel Halls. Looking to float it in. There's a chance here. Oh! That is a stunning, stunning goal by Eric Botiak. That's one of the goals of the season. Acrobatic, dexterous, almost gymnastic-like, and clinical. Yeah, super goal. That's from the archives by Eric Botiak, whose big mate is now playing for Florent Berenguer. Florent Berenguer is playing for Brisbane Roar, I should say. Welcome to the Hungry Jacks halftime show. That's the moment that separates the two teams. Marco Tullio with a very cool, calm and composed finish after Storm Roux had split the Brisbane Roar defence asunder. Danny McBreen alongside for the halftime show. On balance, the Mariners worth that advantage?
Marginally, I would say. It's been a real arm wrestle, a real tactical game. Played mainly in the middle of the park, but it has opened up with a couple of opportunities at either end, but I wouldn't say they're big chances, more half chances. And I think both coaches will be asking for a little bit more in the second half.
Let's check out the Harvey Norman highlights then from the opening 45. Central Coast Mariners have been very diligent in their defensive work, but how about this for a ball from Storm Roux? Macklin Freak came charging out, and Tullio said thank you very much.
Yeah, it was a perfectly timed run. We've seen Storm Roux move higher on that right-hand side when Tullio comes inside, and that may have caused a little bit of confusion in the back line. It was Zabala and Thomas Aldred just not picking up the run of Tullio. It was a perfectly weighted pass. Lovely touch to take it around Macklin Freak, and if there any Mariners player you want in that area to finish on a tight angle, it's that man there.
Didn't make himself too popular with the Raw fans with the celebration. Brisbane, as we mentioned, have huffed and puffed, but just no real rhythm for them. Carlo Armiento with that effort that was blocked, really, by Marco Tullio.
Yeah, most of their attacks have come down this right-hand side, and this was probably the best moment they had. Jay O'Shea keeping the ball alive, and Danny Vukovic standing up strong to Armiento's strike, but there hasn't been too much. This is sort of the story of the night, really. It's been a little bit of confusion in those wide areas, a little bit of, I guess, I would say, not enough electricity going forward either, so a little bit stagnant Brisbane Roar.
Yep, a bit laboured, but no doubt Ross Aloisi will get them fired up during half-time in these wet conditions. The Mariners scoring from their only shot on target in the first half. But, of course, this is the third of 3 away games in the space of 8 days for Mark Jackson's team. So whether tiredness might take its toll in the second half, particularly on a heavy pitch, who knows? We will find out. He's got a collection, really, of youngsters on the bench. I guess Ross Aloisi, Macca. Does he look to the likes of Jez Lofthouse to try and change things up in the second half?
Oh, no doubt. I think we'll see some substitutions, and I'm sure you'll be just saying to his troops, look, we need a little bit more energy in this front area. Give us another 10-15 minutes and then give me everything you've got. We'll get those young, enthusiastic players on to really try and open up the game.
Our Paramount Plus player index shows that Marco Tullio is the best player on the park in terms of the numbers at the moment, helped, of course, by that solitary goal. Danny Vukovic with one good save at the other end, but he might have had another Macca as well. He had a big chance some 9 minutes later, but took the wrong option.
Yeah, he had an opportunity. He also had an earlier opportunity, didn't he, where he tried to lob Macklin Freak from some distance as he got in behind, a mistake, but he's enjoying his time out there. He's loving winding up the crowd as well, and as usual, we see all the tricks and flicks that go along with that.
There we go, the Brazilian, the name on everybody's lips at the break, and that was our Hungry Jacks halftime show. Now, don't forget, we've got the A-League's Unite round coming up in January. What a festival of football this is going to be. 3 days, 12 matches, all the teams involved in both the men's and women's competition. That's starting on the 12th and running through to the 14th of January in Sydney. Get your tickets from $25 from Ticketek. Should be a great occasion, that's. And of course, running simultaneously is the Asian Cup. The Socceroos going to Qatar in January with big hopes of winning the tournament for the second time. We've done a previous show to look ahead to that tournament. Here's a little snippet of it as we head off to the break, and we'll be back for the second half very shortly.
Hello there, the 2024 Asian Cup is upon us, gentlemen. Simon Hill, Daniel McBreen. We find ourselves in Group B. Maybe we can talk through that a little bit at the moment. We've got the Socceroos, we've got Uzbekistan, Syria and India. It's going to be a fun one.
It is going to be a fun one, and you've labelled them in the order of their ranking in FIFA, but it goes in reverse order in the way we play, and I think that actually plays into the hands of the Socceroos. Come into India first in the tournament, get through that one, then they move on to the Syria game, which should be a bit sterner test, but I think the hardest test of the lot comes in Game 3 against Uzbekistan, a rising power in Asian football, invested heavily in their structures, and they're going to be a real tough one to finish off the group.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. The White Wolves of Uzbekistan are a rising force, as Maka says. They've won junior tournaments. They're regularly now competing at the back end of those junior competitions. It's now about translating that into senior football, and they've been sort of knocking on the door for the last 2 or 3 Asian Cups. So I think that will be the game that decides who finishes top of the group. Syria won't be any pushovers either. They've got some great players, Omar Al-Soma, Omar Kribin, and 1 or 2 of the diasporan South American Syrians as well, brought in by Hector Cooper, their coach. So it's a good test. It's a difficult group for Australia, but it's a winnable one, and I think they'll win it.
No, most definitely. So we've had a couple of injury worries coming into it. Any other major concerns with this squad?
Not really.
Expectation.
Yeah. Managing expectations. They've done well in the World Cup, so everybody in Australia now expects us to go and dominate everywhere we go, but it doesn't always work like that, and it's not as easy as that. There's some heavy hitters that we have to beat if we're going to win it, but there's no saying that we can't do it.
Saudi Arabia in the quarterfinals, we think, if both teams win their group.
There you go. You heard it here first from the Voices of Football. Make sure you catch all the action of the AFC Asian Cup on Paramount and Network 10.
Craig Goodwin delivers the free kick in. It's a good ball, and it's the opening goal from the towering Harry Suter. Miller is there with Metcalf. He dinks the ball back in. Great header. Mitch Duke. What a story. Here's Miller again. The cross in. McLaren this time. Well, what a moment for Jamie McLaren. A hat-trick in green and gold. Well, Marco Tullio is the man of the moment as we prepare for the second half at a very wet Suncorp Stadium. His goal divides the teams in this game that opens round 9 in the Isuzu Ute A-League men's competition. And we also talked about the possibility of Ross Aloisi calling on Jez Lofthouse off the bench, and he's done just that as the Roar get the second half underway, replacing Carlo Armiento on the left-hand side. Daniel McBreen, he's made his move early.
He has. We thought it might take a little longer, but he didn't have much of an impact in that first half. Armiento had the one shot, probably the one cross, and that was about it for the half. So calling on Jez Lofthouse, who's got himself a goal recently as well, to change the fortunes.
And scored in the 2-0 away success over Adelaide United, which was just his second goal in the competition. Some injury problems at the start of the campaign, but back to full fitness now. And even in these early seconds, you sense there's a little more urgency about Brisbane, which is what you suggested that Ross Aloisi might be talking about during his half-time chat.
Yeah, well, when you looked across the stacks, it probably shaded a little bit towards Brisbane, but we said no real urgency in that front third.
They've got an early decision off Sean Evans as well. They didn't get 1 or 2 in the first half, and they weren't pleased about Brisbane. Little push by Alu Kuol on Tom Aldred. Reminder of the team news at the start of play, which now includes Jez Lofthouse, of course, off the bench for Brisbane. That was the only change for the Roar. The outset of play, which has now been reversed. A couple of changes for the Mariners. Harrison Steele and Alu Kuol brought back into the starting 11. Here's a chance potentially for Gamulka, but it's smothered completely by the Mariners' defence. O'Shea will try to reload. Aldred. Coletti works it wide. Zabala. O'Shea looking for the runners at the back post, and Waddingham climbed high and got it on target. Not enough to trouble Danny Vukovic, but better from the Roar.
Well, again, it's a good ball in from Jay O'Shea. He was stretching, wasn't he? It was a good leap. Stretching, trying to strain the neck. Didn't quite get the power to beat Danny Vukovic, but good early promising signs from Ross Aloisi's man.
Torres for the Mariners. Tidied up by Kai Truitt. Zabala. Aldred. Has to go long, which is one in the air by Roux. It's like miscue from Tullio. Which way does the throw go? It goes in favour of the Mariners.
I'm not sure why that was stopped. Storm picked up the ball, threw it in, and he said, no, we'll take that back. Or is it a foul? I'm not sure. No, throw in.
Both teams argue in that case that it was their throw. O'Shea losing out to Roux. Touched by Kuol, and the run from Jacob Farrell from left back. Will it sit for him? Didn't quite get the connection he wanted.
He didn't. He's got himself a couple of goals in competitions this season. Didn't come to fruition on that occasion. Freak went down really slow, didn't he? I thought for a moment it was just going to trickle past him.
Jacob Farrell got a double in the AFC Cup against Bali United. Steele threading it through for Nisbet. Torres. Farrell back for Caltech. Nisbet, little touch around the corner. It's an intelligent ball, and Tullio's in behind. Big chance for 2. tucks it away, never in doubt from the Brazilian. And the dance moves are not bad either. The Mariners too clear.
Well, it's tight. Did he go too early? It was a wonderful ball through, and if he did time the run right, it's a wonderful goal. Maybe Norman replay will show us Josh Nisbet with the ball around the corner. You see there, oof, that is tight.
I think Zavala's playing him on.
I think Zavala maybe just keeping onside, but it was a great touch and a little wonderful finish. Look at the ball there from Harrison Steele. It's tucked away nicely. Marco Tullio, well, we asked before the game, should he be scoring more goals? Well, he's obliged, and if this is waved through from VAR, it'll be a double for him tonight. Very disappointing for Brisbane Roar.
Nice touch from Alan Quall as well. Polishing the boots in imaginary fashion. And Tullio, well, his tally in the A-League ticks up to 3. In all competitions, it's 12. Unless VAR is going to have a say. Kate Jacobitz in the booth tonight. Looked to me as though, and it's only with the naked eye, that Louis Zabala was playing the Brazilian on, but we'll see.
I think if my lip reading was right, I just saw Sean Evans say it is super tight. They're just going to have a good look.
Still we wait. Oh. Offside.
Yeah, I think maybe just leaning forward.
The upper half of the body.
Yeah, super tight.
And those celebrations cut short. And a lifeline for Brisbane. That must be very, very tight. And as you say, maybe when the attacker leans forward to start the run, the upper half of the body might just have strayed the wrong side of the defensive line.
Yeah, I must admit, my first reaction was that I thought he'd gone fractionally too early, and I was thinking it may get called back, but I'm sure hopefully we'll get to see the lines and see how close it was, because it was very, very tight. Here we are. There you go. See the right shoulder just leaning just fractionally too early. Well, it's excited the crowd, and hopefully the intensity will grow now.
Lofthouse turned into a cul-de-sac, which this time in those Brisbane voices. And the ball's got away from Tullio. Big ironic cheer from the den. Farrell unable to reel that one in, but flag from Ashley Beecham. Miliusnic, it's the way he plays, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's always trying to stretch the line, isn't he, and time those runs. He hasn't got it right tonight. It's about his third one that he's got wrong. Sometimes, as I said earlier, you've got the pace he has. Sometimes you just need to give yourself just a little bit extra to make sure.
Tullio left that one for Quall. It's a good concept in theory. Leave and go. There you go, the fourth time that Roar have been caught offside. I reckon Miliusnic been guilty for at least 3 of them. Maybe all 4. There is Miliusnic, onside this time. Darting inside and getting rid of Farrell. Nice and positive from Nikola Miliusnic.
He timed his run on that occasion, didn't he? Jacob Farrell, we look at his teammate there, Angel Torres, saying, well, I'm showing him back inside to you. You need to help me there. Well, isn't it? Saw that Torres wasn't coming really doing his defensive duties and took off.
Nisbet might open up here for the Mariners. Rue on the right, Tulio beyond him. Back for Rue. Ball was drawn towards the near post. Farrell. Not quite for Tulio. The way he finds space, Marco Tulio. Need eyes in the back of your head to keep tabs on him. Aldred, oh, got into a terrible tangle there, and it's still there for the Mariners. Nisbet lets it run, and it is 2-0 this time. Angel Torres, the Brisbane defence, all at sea, and this one won't be ruled out.
Well, I'm in shock. And Tom Aldred just seemed to forget that he was playing a game of football. As the ball comes back on the Harvey Norman replay, look at him. It's like he doesn't see that Alu Kual is there. That's a lovely little step over from Josh Nisbet. And Angel Torres, who got himself a hat-trick last week, finishes with aplomb. But what was Tom Aldred doing there? As it comes to Tulio, look at that little leave, little dummy from Nisbet, which opens up the space, and Torres is in some good form. But this is... it's incredible from an experienced player like Tom Aldred as well, and that's a wonderful finish. Take nothing away from that. And he's been a pest, Alu Kual. He's caused problems for defenders, but Tom Aldred's just let the ball drop there.
Well, Torres gets the credit. It's his 5th of the season and comes on the back, of course, of that hat-trick that he netted against Melbourne City. But Tom Aldred was just asleep at the wheel. And Raw couldn't reorganise quickly enough.
Well, they got a reprieve just a few moments ago. It was a very close one, correctly called, in my opinion, and they've just shot themselves in the foot.
Lofthouse trying to make progress. Steele. Farrell puts it out in front of Torres. Nisbet and Kual in the box. Nisbet with the back heel. Again, nice and inventive from the Central Coast. They'll have to settle for a throw. There was open pasture ahead of Angel Torres for a moment.
It just has a little bit of a feel at the moment, doesn't it? That this is where you see sometimes the Mariners just get into that party mode, as we see Enrique ready to come on.
Alu Kual is the man to be replaced. He's just wandering off behind the goal. But he's played his part tonight, keeping Tom Aldred honest and forcing the error out of the Brisbane defence, which has set up that crucial second goal. And given Brisbane a mountain to climb. Waddingham can't break free. Rue. Too high for Nisbet, but he read the bounce better than Hingert. Steele. Strangely lackadaisical performance generally from Brisbane. Nisbet. Aldred intervenes, but it's still not completely away. Won't quite sit for Waddingham. Ballard sorts it out. Rue for Nisbet. Won't reach Tulio though. Zabala will carry it forward for the Raw. Lofthouse. He's tried that little turning trick on 2 or 3 occasions, and not one of them's worked out as yet. And the chase is on here for Jingreek. He's got there ahead of Macklin Freak. Again, it's an empty net. And Jingri off the bench, but it's going to be ruled out for offside. The second time the Mariners have had a goal robbed off.
Yeah, I think they've got this right as well. They're living on the edge, aren't they, Brisbane? You see there. Just, no, I think he's offside. You don't think so, Simon?
Well, I don't know.
You're thinking the nearest defender.
Zabala on the near side.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's tight. You might well be right that it's offside. Obviously, they'll check it, and Ross Aloisi's seen enough. He's going to make a double change. Taras Gamulka is one of those to make way. Alex Parsons is introduced. We're going to see Ryland Brownlee at the expense of Tommy Waddingham, who's not really had much service.
Well, he's told hard, Tom Waddingham, but really didn't touch the ball very much at all during the match. His service.
Zabala. Forward by Freak. Decent win in the air, that by Alex Parsons. Good first introduction. Zabala. O'Shea. Coletti. Zabala. Lofthouse. Zabala get there before it hits the byline. Just under half an hour to play at Suncorp. Still plenty of time for Brisbane. Dare I say it, Macca? I know you don't like it when I say this. We have seen come from
leave
2
it there,
goals down
leave it
before.
there, Simon. Official warning.
Always gets them,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Look, yeah, it's true. Oh, very good. Finding late goals.
You must roll your eyes every time you hear that.
It doesn't matter anymore, does it? They deserved it.
And you got your winner's medal.
That's all that matters. Here's, let's have a look at the line. Look, Simon, clearly offside.
Yep.
You had your cross eyes on that one.
I'd like to see confirmation.
You stop bringing up the grand final, I'll stop picking it up.
Lofthouse. Coletti. Dan Hall intervenes. Coletti on the turn. Alex Parsons fired across the face. It was an inviting delivery. Nobody there to apply the touch for Brisbane.
It was a nice ball, wasn't it? And there's been a little bit more energy in the team, the Raw team now. 3 fresh faces on up front. A lot more movement.
Off the head of Louis Zabala, brought down by Joe Coletti. O'Shea. Mariners staying compact, staying focused. And they've come away with the ball. Jingri. Too many Raw players around him. And that's a foul by Lofthouse. Pressure relieved on the Central Coast. Did mention, Macca, this is the Mariners' 3rd away game in 8 days. Asian competition, of course. And the trip to Melbourne. Heavy conditions. Might just come into the equation late on.
Yeah, it could do. Last 20-25 minutes as we start to get to that moment now. I did see Mark Jackson changed a few players for that trip away in the AFC Cup. Try to freshen the legs, even if they do travel still.
Now through in that competition to zonal semi-final, where they will host Phnom Penh Crown in February. You can forget about their regional commitments for the time being. They put themselves in a really good position here. Thanks to their two South Americans, Marco Tulio and Angel Torres. Out wide for Zabala. Brownlee. Lofthouse. Aldred. Coletti. Jez Lofthouse. Cutting inside and getting rid of Storm Roux. And that deflection of Harrison Steele could have been awkward for Vukovic. Instead it goes behind for a corner. A bit more incisive from Jez Lofthouse. Den all on their feet, trying to lift their team, and they need it. Lofthouse. It's well defended by Josh Nisbet, showing he's just not just a number 10.
So he's not just winning headers, he's still doing his defensive job.
Torres, not strong enough. Jacob Farrell is. Dan Hall, lovely release for Tulio. Tulio goes down and stays down. Play goes on. No foul adjudged by Louis Zabala. Lofthouse. Mariners down to 10 just for the moment. Coletti, Zabala, Lofthouse. Sure, Zabala was anticipating that. It's a real scrap for the ball, and in the end the Mariners get the whistle and survive that little bout of pressure from the Raw.
This will be a real test for the Mariners now. I'm sure Mark Jackson has spoken to them about it. They've only had one clean sheet in the A-League this season. It wasn't really their forte last year either, and as we just look back there, Zabala just accidentally stood on the Achilles of Tulio. Like it hurt. The challenge now for the Mariners is to keep a clean sheet. Brisbane are going to come at them. They've made substitution. They've injected some youth and exuberance into their lineup.
Jacob Farrell. Up but not away completely by Zabala. Torres. Seen out safely by Miljuznic. Farrell having a word or two, I think, with those two Mariners fans behind him. They're enjoying themselves, even though they're getting a bit wet. Thankfully, the lightning has stayed away. That delayed tonight's kickoff by a quarter of an hour. There they are. Oh.
That was opportune timing, wasn't
I think
it?
we needed that, didn't we?
Your offside call earlier.
Lofthouse. Telegraph that one straight at Farrell. Nisbet and Reek almost getting in each other's way. Ball's like a hot potato at the moment. Eventually, it's Brownlee who puts his foot on it. Works it wide for Miliusnic. Drop of the shoulder and a corner for the Raw. It's been a good contest, that one.
Yeah, it has been a good contest. I think Harold's just shaded it tonight. Miliusnic keeps coming, keeps trying. I think a little bit of skill there.
Well, the fans trying to do their bit. Jay O'Shea's delivery. And over the top it goes. It's going to be another corner. Came off a Mariners defender last. Alex Parsons in the thick of it. Trying to get his head on the end of it from O'Shea's out-swinging corner.
I think that came off Brian Caltech last. Did it?
Maybe Brownlee. Sean Evans wants to have a little chat with Jacob Farrell. He's tasked with marking Tom Aldred towards the near post, skimmed off the head of Marco Tullio. Breaks here for Nisbet. Jing Rick beyond him. He should have gone first time, as Rick's pace had taken him beyond the defence.
Yeah, I just wonder if he gave a loud enough shout, or a shout at all, because if Josh Nisbet would have known, I think he would have played that ball.
Reminder, it's nearly a decade since the Mariners last won at Suncorp. April 2014. Edging ever closer to a big 3 points against a rather off-colour Brisbane Roar. Storm Route. Farrell driving forwards, playing in Torres. Lofthouse encouraged to carry the ball forward ASAP. Can't get clear of the two Mariners defenders, which shows just how dutiful they've been in that regard tonight. Mark Jackson's team, really well organised. Nisbet. Brisbane throw.
Was a physical challenge from Storm Root, followed up with Tullio.
Valetti almost let it get away from him. O'Shea. Look at the determination from Dan Hall. I think he's lost a shin pad. Maybe he was never wearing them. Something popped out.
Yep, there it is. Tough centre halves, they don't need them.
Sure, I'd want to play with bare shins. Double change for the Central Coast. Michael Docker is going to replace Storm Roux. That's a like-for-like change. And we're going to see Nathan Paul at the expense of Max Ballard. We'll see changes for Brisbane as well. Miliusnic and Cahill. Rather, Miliusnic and Coletti coming off. And, Shea Cahill, along with Jonas Markowski. introductions for the Raw. Just a second appearance in the senior competition for son of the legendary Tim Cahill.
That's a sign of both managers' intentions there. Darren is going to a back five or a back three with Nathan Paul slotting in next to Brian Kaltak at the back. Taking changes for the Brisbane Roar.
There's Shay Cahill. Spent his junior days, of course, with Everton, club most famously associated with his father. Now back in Australia. Had 80 minutes off the bench against the Wanderers. This just his second game. Quarter of an hour to go in Suncorp. Jay O'Shea with the free kick. And still there for Brisbane. Off the head of Reek, and Tullio steadies it down. Good head of that from Truin, backtracking to make sure it squeezed through for Tullio for a potential third goal for the Central Coast. O'Shea, Miljusnic, Kaltak and Hall again have been really good for the Central Coast. They've got Nathan Paul on now to add a bit of extra ballast as well. And we're probably going to see a fair bit of this in the final quarter of an hour. Raw with all the ball. Mariners playing on the counter. Zabala for Lofthouse. O'Shea. Patient build-up. Clipped in by Hingertz. Out again by Kaltak. Aldred to reload. And the curler just wide. Good effort from Alex Parsons. And that's what Brisbane have got to do. Somebody's got to shoot.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad effort, was it? Just bending away. Bad area. Bad tail on it either. Really been enough of that tonight from Brisbane. 9 shots and 4 on target, or 10 shots now, but really think of, apart from Armiento in the first half, where they've really troubled Danny Vukovic.
There's one save that he had to make in the second half from Miljusnic. A save he would have expected to make.
Like he had the header from Waddingham as well, but saves, as you say, that expect Danny Vukovic to be making comfortably.
Docker winning the foul off Lofthouse. Mariners finally back on home turf on New Year's Eve, the annual game against Perth Glory, their next engagement after all their travels. Brisbane go to Melbourne City on the 28th. Markovsky dispossessed by Torres. Forward by Kaltak. And Docker eventually gives it up. They are growing nicely under Mark Jackson, aren't they, the Mariners?
They are. They were a team that had a lot of changes, both coaching staff and players. It was going to take its time to bed in his style of play. He said that. It was almost a disastrous start to the season with 4 losses in a row. And then you can start to see it's coming together. It remains like this, they move into the top 6. Of course, it's the first game of the weekend, but starting to look a little bit brighter over the Central Coast.
Harrison Steele with a touch of cramp, just his second start of the campaign. He was sent off in this fixture, you might remember, back in round 4, just 4 minutes after coming off the bench. A few words of wisdom meantime from Messrs Mark Jackson and Danny Schofield, the Englishman's number 2. Steele limping off to the sidelines. And there's going to be a change. You're going to see Bradley Tapp introduced. The 22-year-old, just his 3rd appearance in the senior competition. The youngsters who came through Mariners Academy. And into the final 10 minutes. This very grey, very damp evening in Queensland. At the moment, at least, very much looks as though Brisbane are going to lose their unbeaten record this season at home. 2 wins and a draw before tonight's game. Just haven't really been anywhere near their best. Still time, perhaps, for them to take something out of this game. This is Jay O'Shea. Jacob Farrell sticks in a boot and wins the ball back for the Mariners. They've done that all night. Markowski turns it wide. Truin. O'Shea. It's just not quite happening for them, is it?
It isn't. It's not through a lack of trying. They're throwing the orange shirts forward. They've gone a game in the A-League this season without scoring, so it's a little bit unusual for them. But we have seen them very dynamic, very free-flowing football this season, and as you say, Simon, it's just not been that tonight.
Is it going to be back-to-back defeats for Ross Aloisi for the first time as Brisbane Roar boss? Four of Roar's next 5 fixtures are at Suncorp. An awful lot of travel over the festive period. Just that trip to Melbourne on the 28th. That's a good retrieval by Jez Lofthouse. O'Shea. Forward by Truin. Splitting that defensive line, but only for a moment. Mariners have been good at cutting off those passing lanes. O'Shea. There we go again. Jingreek has pace, he's going to get there ahead of Freak, as you know. Goalkeeper did well. There's just a moment there where the striker seemed the favourite.
It was 3rd time lucky for Macklin Freak, wasn't it? He's come out a couple of times tonight. Got there.
No way forward for Lofthouse.
You see, Jingreek just seemed to pull out at the last minute, didn't he? If he threw the toe out, he may have taken that over, Macklin Freak.
I guess he's thinking, might break my ankle as well.
Put in the line if you want to score those goals.
O'Shea. Corner off Michael Docker. Starting to very much be against a Brisbane comeback. They need a goal from somewhere. Lofthouse, decent looking delivery. Another corner for Brisbane. Danny Vukovic reminds his teammates to remain switched on. 3 points not nailed on yet. no doubt desperate to atone for his part in the Mariners' second goal. Jay O'Shea's corner. Up go the heads. Nathan Paul got the decisive flick. Altak losing out to Markowski. Brownlee ran into a cul-de-sac. The Mariners snuff out the danger again, but back come Brisbane. Markowski, well, they're just everywhere. The blue jerseys. Remarkable effort, really, given they've been on the road for a fair chunk of time now. Paramount Plus player index. Well, that's a bit of a surprise for me. He's really had a decent shot to save, hasn't he, Danny Vukovic? But there he is. He's done nothing wrong, we can say that.
No, I think he has had saves to make. They have been regulation. Obviously, points do add up. Said earlier, of course, for his 92nd clean sheet in the A-League. Took him a while to get the record for himself. Sat on that 90 for a long time.
Lofthouse still not there for a 92nd clean sheet. Brownlee, good ball! And at the back post, Markowski just couldn't quite get the purchase that he required.
Well, we're just talking about the clean sheet. Lofthouse with a nice ball in behind. Brownlee with a good ball across the 6-yard, and Jacob Farrell just switched off for a brief moment, and Markowski almost steals in with a goal. A little bit better connection there, and it's 2-1 and it's game on.
Some hope for Brisbane. A clear-cut chance, and they've been hard to find for them tonight. Zabala. Perseverance shown by Shea Cahill. And he felt he was impeded, so did the Den. That's a shirt pull surely from Lofthouse. Now the whistle goes. Howls of frustration from the home fans.
I knew that was coming. Yeah, Marcelo Aloisi doesn't think it's right either. You see here.
Well, there's no doubt about that one.
Yeah,
but
I think the one before.
What about the foul on Shea Cahill, if indeed it was?
I think Sean Evans might have been saying they were both at it, but Ben was in clear mind that they were on the wrong end of the decision there.
Lose points for that in the index. Hingett. Cahill. Just lost track of the ball at the crucial moment. Mariners can just take a breather. It's been no lack of effort from Brisbane tonight, Macca. Just haven't really been on top of their game.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, Jacob Farrell picks up a yellow card for delaying the restart. All rather unnecessary, and he's still not really of a mind to take it. How long will he take with this one? As long as he can is probably the answer.
For his sake, not too long. If we cast our mind back to the first half when Brisbane Roar were down taking a throw in, took almost twice as long. Nothing happens. Understandable, though, at this stage of the game.
Hingert. Seen out safely by Angel Torres. Quite a spectacular performance from the Colombian, as we saw against Melbourne City, but another goal. His Mariners' career continues to build nicely. Lofthouse. Thought by Michael Docker, who draws the contact and wins the free kick.
Not too sure about that one. I think he got himself into some heavy pressure.
Seven minutes to be added on, and we're in the first of those now. If the comeback's going to happen for Brisbane, it really has to start very soon. Truin. Cahill. O'Shea. Going for the early cross. Bradley got knocked down, but really any support from his teammates. Zavala. Lofthouse turns back towards his captain. O'Shea. Hingert. Cahill on the turn. Thread it through though for Parsons, and Brisbane have to go all the way back and start again. O'Shea. Markovsky trying to inject some urgency into proceedings for the Raw. Nathan Paul across for the Mariners.
Well, it's turned into a defence versus attack training-like session, hasn't it? Mariners not really looking to do anything when they go forward. Commit too many bodies forward. Is when you can have the ball and come and do your worst.
Now the visitors could spring forward and maybe grab a third if they've got ambitions to do so. Doesn't look as though Tulio is too interested. Happy to try and run down the clock by a few more seconds. Be strong is the message from Mark Jackson. They've certainly been that tonight. The champions within touching distance of going 5 unbeaten after losing those first 4 matches. But they've got numbers here, the Mariners. They could seal the deal once and for all. Not the required finish from Angel Torres.
It looked a little tired, didn't it? They've worked hard in defence tonight.
It's a heavy fall. Jacob Farrell. Just ask the question of the linesman as to whether there should have been a flag raised. Lofthouse. Docker's too strong. He's just out-foxed Jez Lofthouse on several occasions, hasn't he, the Brazilian?
Yeah, he has. Look, he just sees the opportunity there. Nips in front. Once you get that front position, you saw it earlier in the game. Once you get across the front, they either have to let you go or bring you down.
No, it's not quite done yet, Macca, but on this performance, is this just a bad night for Brisbane or something a little deeper?
Oh, look, I think from what we've seen from them so far this season, you'd have to say this is out of the ordinary, isn't it? It's been a very flat performance. As we said earlier, they've been very dynamic, very fluent going forward. It seems just a laboured performance tonight. Sometimes that can happen. Sometimes you just don't feel it. The energy levels aren't there. The cohesion just doesn't seem to work.
Mariners now within 2 minutes of a first win on the road in the league this season. This is going to be some late drama here. Steered away by Paul. Back in by Cahill. Out again by Dan Hall. Look at that for a touch. Oh. How to kill pressure. Marco Tullia, absolutely brilliant in the 96th minute.
Yeah. He's the kind of guy you want on the ball at this time. The way he uses his body, not to mention his touch, by the way. The exquisite touch, and then the awareness of where the opposition players are, to use his body to protect it, to roll with their body as they press. It's a joy to watch.
Well, the Raw fans might not like him, but for me, he's been the perfect 10 tonight.
Perfect 10?
That's a wordplay, because it's his jersey number.
Correct. I'm going to say, he might just score another 3 if we're giving him 10 out of 10. He's a perfect 10 playing on the right wing.
Shea, left out's just a little bit slow to anticipate. It might be coming his way. And there we go, commentator's curse.
It was a difficult one, wasn't it?
It'll only be consolation now if Brisbane were to score. They lost the ball. Nisbet has options left and right. He goes round. Challenge of one defender. Threads it through for Angel Torres. He seals the deal. Make that 5 goals in 2 games for the Colombian. And Brisbane are sunk in the rain at Suncorp. What a performance by the champions. They're back and they're going to go 5 games unbeaten.
Well, it's a lovely finish from Angel Torres. He's worked hard in defence tonight, got himself a couple of goals, but on the Harvey Norman replay, look at this from Josh Nisbet. He wins the ball in a tackle, he assesses the situation, moves the ball left, judges the challenge, goes around it and puts it on a plate. It was a lovely first touch from Angel Torres, but this man created it all. Look at the awareness. You can see the defenders coming, draws players in, puts it on the toe of Torres, who does the rest with a clinical finish.
And the Mariners now scored 15 goals in this 5-game unbeaten run. It's really all starting to click for Mark Jackson and his team, and particularly for Angel Torres. Well, there were some doubts perhaps after those first 4 matches, which all ended in defeat. They were struggling for goals, leaking them at the other end, but it's all come good. And there we go, a first win at Suncorp Stadium since April 2014 for the Central Coast Mariners, as Mark Jackson's team round out a terrific 8 days on the road, with 3 points at Suncorp to go with their draw in Melbourne and, of course, progression in the AFC Cup. 2 goals again for Angel Torres on the back of his hat-trick against Melbourne City. Josh Nisbet assisting the 3rd. All that after Marco Tullia had put them in front in the first half. They had 2 more ruled out by VAR for offside. A really clinical performance by the Central Coast, who are now 5 games unbeaten. They're into the top 6 as well for the first time this season. Conversely, a disappointing evening for Brisbane. Back-to-back losses for the Raw, as Fortress Suncorp is breached for the first time this campaign. But the Mariners deserving of the 3 points. Full-time scoreline, Brisbane Raw 0, Central Coast Mariners 3. We're going to head off to a quick break. On the other side of it, we'll have the post-game show, and we'll try and get some reaction from the two camps. Stay with us.
Put that on the ground. Oh.
Like that.
Hey, Josh, just checking you can hear us in the studio. It's Simon Hill here. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. I can hear you. It's all good.
Niz, can you hear me? It's Macca.
Yeah, Mac, I got you.
Good.
We'll be with you in about a minute, Josh. Just got to run through some dribble and then we'll be with you, mate, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, buddy.
Well and truly cooking.
How about that? Wouldn't you know it? Unbelievable. Extraordinary.
Poetic. It was meant to be.
Well, let it never end. Yes, the Unite round should be a great celebration of football, but all the celebrations at Suncorp tonight belong to Mark Jackson and his Central Coast Mariners team. A terrific performance as they ended the Raw.